Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all my friends out there. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's CJ. Definitely hit the subscribe button real quick if you haven't yet. Turn notifications on. We're on our way to 6,100 subscribers. I want you to be a part of the movement. I want you to be a part of the journey, a part of the ride, help the channel grow, all those fun things. So make sure you're definitely subscribed with notifications turned on. Also, tickle that like button. I don't want you to smash it. I don't want you to hammer it. I don't want you to pound it. I just want you to tickle that like button today. We're going to be gentle. We're going to be delicate with the like button. You're going to go touch it, but you're not going to be too aggressive with it. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for doing that for me. Now that I've made things really awkward and weird, what about last night? Taco Tuesday, huh? 3 for 3 on the PrizePicks tacos out there. What a fantastic night if you played any of those tacos. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you're playing on PrizePicks. If you're not, 100% instant deposit match still happening over on PrizePicks. All you have to do is use promo code Curry. When you sign up for the very first time, you put up to $100 in there. They're going to give you $100 going dollar for dollar. A price match on anything you put in up to $100. So use code Curry. You see it floating above my head. I've left links down in the description below for you to join PrizePicks and get started on your daily fantasy sports and player prop journey today. Appreciate everybody being here. Lots of love to all the Patreon members up in here. I see a lot of folks showing love from our Patreon community. If you haven't joined Patreon yet, great time to do so. We're only on May 4th. By the way, May the 4th be with you. To all my Star Wars heads out there, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, it's a great time to join Patreon. It's the start of a new month. The beginning of the month is always the best time. If you want to jump into the community, be a part of what we got going on, basically it's just a whole bunch of people who are serious about player props, who are putting in the time, the efforts, the research, and sharing amongst the community. We have a total family vibe. No egos. Nobody's in there thinking they're better than anyone else or anything like that. We're just rolling up our sleeves. We're putting the work in and we're doing research and we're sharing our findings, right? We're just trying to get to the money daily over on Patreon. So if you want to do that, help support my content, me as a content creator, much appreciated. I would love if you join Patreon. Shout out to Mark H. He says he's got a meeting, but he's going to catch up in a bit. Love that. Thanks for dropping by, Mark. We got Moody Clips in here. I see we've got Mr. T-Bone in here. Chop, chop. Let's get it, gang. Patreon gang. Everybody helps everyone. That's exactly what the name of the game is, man. That's why we're good at what we do inside the Patreon community. Ricky Carroll's here. Shout out to you. Moody Clips. Yeah, you might want to flex a little bit more, Moody. Especially with the NBA playoffs. I would recommend you flex a little bit more during the playoffs. Ryan Romero, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being a part of the conversation this morning. Even though Jaren Jackson Jr. fouled out and probably hurt your potential winnings, your upside. Drew Brees, what's up to you? Shout out to the gang. Let's get this bread today. You dig? I definitely dig. Everyday Fantasy says, good morning, everyone. Follow the path of Patreon and smash the cash. I love that. I love that. It's up and get with Chef and the Patreon proven winners. I guarantee in my Barkley voice. I love that. Thanks for leaving that, Mr. Everyday Fantasy, aka Don P in our Discord community. Duncan says, good morning. I had a good one yesterday. I love starting the month strong. Thanks to the Patreon gang and the Prop Talk Show. What he's talking about is I go live. I go live in Discord at 5 p.m. Eastern time. This is something that's just open to Patreon members, just available to the Patreon gang. And I talk amongst the Patreon members and the community members about their favorite props of the day. We put together a nightly playlist of props that are looking good. So apparently Duncan joined the Prop Talk last night, played some of the plays that we discussed on that live stream. Audio only experience inside Discord for Patreon members, and it served him well. So shout out to you, Duncan. I'm glad that worked out for you. Kyle Kaz is in the building. He says, yo, CJ, yo, what's up, Kyle? Ronald's Green is here with the solid what's up. Jimmy Green is also here. Like it up, like it up, like it up. I like that. Hit that like button. Love that. Let's see here. Wesley Winston says, yo, Boss, man, what's up, Wes? Thanks for being here, brother. You've been here since like A1 day one, man. You've been rocking with me since the beginning. Jide says, let's get it, friends. Glad the tacos didn't let us down yesterday. Yeah, we cannot be mad at the chefs. The PrizePicks taco chefs were on the money. So shout out to everybody who casted their vote for those props. I was in the Giannis points crew. That's what I wanted the taco to be. They both would have ended up hitting his points and his assists if they would have been tacoized or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we ended up doing well with those tacos. So shout out to everybody who voted on those. Breadwinner Bob's up in here. He says, I only go for the 5-pick flex entries, but to each their own. He wants the 10x or nothing. Now you could still get 4 out of 5 right and get the 2x right, or you could get the 0.4 if you get 3 out of 5 right. A little bit of something back. Leroy's here. Shout out to Leroy. Leroy, you already know who the locks are. You already know who the locks are, man. Jada Kiss, Styles P, Chic Luch. All right. Rap trio, legendary New York rap trio. Those are the locks. The only locks that exist, the only locks that matter are those guys. Aldebert Victor says, so is Patreon different from Discord? No. I think some of you don't understand, I guess, how the two work together. So when you join Patreon, it's $20, right? Part of what you get with Patreon, a benefit of Patreon, is access to private channels inside Discord that you otherwise wouldn't get access to. And that's where 99% of the fun happens. It's inside those private channels of Discord. So that's how it works. That's how that relationship works. You sign up to Patreon, you get access to Discord. There's private channels inside Discord. Now, there is also free side of Discord, I guess you could say, where anybody can be in there. I've got bots going on in there. I do giveaways inside Discord available to anybody, even non-Patreon members. So links to everything are down in the description below. Patreon, Discord, etc., etc. So check out the description of today's video for that. Let's see here. We got Mr. Ches Gaming in the building. Shout out to you. Christopher Money, what's good? What's good? Trevor's in here. He said he had a solid night last night. He had one more Ja Morant assist last night. Would have won over $130. Well, shout out to you, man. I'm glad you at least found some money. Isaac M says, what's up, CJ? Happy Star Wars Day. You know the drill. Ruben Rodriguez says, everything over today. Okay. Chris Smith says the tacos were great, but the things to go with you is not so great. I hear you. It was kind of rough, man. Like I posted earlier this morning to YouTube, I posted a little thing there. I said, I think I had like 6 MLB strikeout props, like 6 of them that ended up losing by the hook. I took the under, they went over by 1. I took the over, they went under by 1. It was crazy yesterday for MLB strikeout props. But I did end up finding a late night Hail Mary. My Steph Curry taco, paired it with a couple of MLB props, and we ended up cashing, man. Ended up making the good use of one of those tacos. Tony Dean says, took Monday off after a rough weekend, came back last night and hit 2 out of 3. There you go, Tony. Just get up on that bike and ride again. You know what I mean? Get up on that bike and ride again. All right, gang. 2 games tonight. Philadelphia, Miami, and then we've got Dallas at Phoenix in the late night slate. So let's take a look at this. 7:30 p.m. tip-off time between Philly and Miami. 207.5 points, so very low total between these two teams. 8-point spread. It's favoring the Miami Heat. Obviously, Philadelphia is going to be without Joel Embiid. Maybe he comes back for Game 3. It's a wait and see right now, but for tonight, he will not be there. So it looks like DeAndre Jordan is projected to be the starting center once again. You'll see some Paul Reed. Also spending time at the 5 spot. Tyrese Maxiell, James Harden, Danny Green, and Tobias Harris along with DeAndre Jordan. That's your projected starting lineup. We know Tobias Harris had himself a very strong Game 1. Scored the ball really well. James Harden, not so much. James Harden's just looking more and more like a fading star at this point, guys. I don't know if we're ever going to see James Harden recapture the glory, the magic that he once had, right? When he was dropping 30 to 35 points a night for the Houston Rockets for like 3 straight years, right? Leading the league in scoring. I don't know if we're ever going to see that guy again. That ship probably has sailed on James Harden. What's left? I think you're starting to see what's left. Not a whole lot, right? He's looking kind of pedestrian. He's looking like just an average player. Another one of the guys just blending in with the likes of Tyrese Maxiell, Danny Green, Tobias Harris. He's not really standing out in any kind of way. So be careful with taking anything over on James Harden. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I wouldn't expect a ton of upside from the beard, okay? The beard starting to look more like a goatee or something, you know? Beard ain't looking like the beard anymore. So be careful with your James Harden's overs. Just not looking like a good one for him. Over on the Miami Heat side, we got PJ Tucker, Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, all game time decisions. Already ruled out Kyle Lowry. We will not see him tonight. So lots of pending injury news for the Miami Heat. As of right now, it looks like it's going to be Vincent, Strus, Butler, Tucker, and Bam Adebayo. That looks like the projected starting lineup. We saw Bam Adebayo have a fantastic game 1 against the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, he was filling it up. Points, rebounds. I mean, he was doing everything, right? Bam Adebayo had himself a really, really strong game 1. And then we saw Tyler Hero kind of come off the bench. He was the other highlight from game 1. So we'll have to wait and see. Does Tyler Hero repeat the success he had in game 1? Coming off the bench, filling it up like he did. He had himself a very, very strong debut in this series. So that's your game 1. Game 2, 10 p.m. tip-off, Dallas, Phoenix. 216 points between these two teams, a bit higher as far as the implied total than the first game. 6.5 point spread favoring the home team, the Phoenix Suns. Injury news, nothing real crazy going on here. Pretty much going to have the same roster, same complement of players that we had in game 1. Now, speaking of game 1, a lot of people were really, really high on Jalen Brunson, and how could you not be? He had himself a very strong series against the Utah Jazz, right? Even once Luka Doncic returned, Jalen Brunson didn't really fall off all that much, but he did fall off in game 1 against the Phoenix Suns. I don't know of any Jalen Brunson props that actually ended up coming through. If you took the unders on Jalen Brunson, which probably not a lot of you did, right? But if you took unders on Jalen Brunson for game 1, you probably cashed. You probably had some winning picks in your entries. Nobody expected Jalen Brunson to play as poorly as he did. Basically, it was like this. Luka Doncic dominated. If you took overs on Luka Doncic props, you're probably a happy camper. He did really well in all facets, in all categories. So Luka might need to get his teammates involved. Hopefully he doesn't have to shoulder the load by himself like he did in game 1. Maxi Kleber off the bench was another surprise, right? He came in, was nailing a bunch of threes. It was really him and Luka kind of carrying the team for the most part. Some of these other guys did okay in certain prop categories. I think Reggie Bullock continued to rebound well. I want to say Dorian Finney-Smith might have rebounded well. Those were some props that we're probably going to go back to tonight. And then over on the Phoenix side, Deandre Ayton 8. He had himself a nice little game 1. I think he'll continue to have good games throughout this series. So we'll take a look at all those. Like Moody Clips is saying, no one can guard DeAndre Ayton on Dallas. I kind of called it. I was like, man, I expect Ayton to have himself a pretty good series against Dwight Powell and company. So let's go ahead and take a look at today's NBA slate. We'll start by looking at the points props. If you guys have any points props you want me to take a look at from this first game, Philadelphia and Miami, let me know. Let me know. We saw Tobias Harris again have a good game 1. They have now bumped his point prop up to 19.5. I don't know if we like Tobias Harris at 19.5. Tyrese Maxiell's at 20.5. We got James Harden at 21.5. And then from the Miami side, we got Jimmy Butler at 21.5. We've got Bam at 18.5. PJ Tucker sitting out there at 7.5. Tyler Hero, 18.5 after his big game 1. Max Strus, 11.5. I'm already seeing some people saying, go under on Max Strus points. All right. That might be the move. Well, let's take a look here. I got the hit rates pulled up going back to 2020. Philadelphia versus Miami. So Gabe Vincent at 9.5 points. He is now 3 for 3 in games against the Philadelphia 76ers dating back to last season. Tobias Harris, 19.5 points, 57% hit rate in his last 7 games against the Heat. Danny Green at 7.5. He's got a 57% hit rate in his last 7 against the Heat. PJ Tucker at 7.5 points, a 50% hit rate in his last 6 against Philadelphia. You got Bam at 18.5, 50% hit rate in his last 4 games against the Sixers. Tyler Herro at 18.5, 43% hit rate in his last 7 against Philly. Tyrese Maxiell, 25% hit rate in his last 8 against Miami. Jimmy Buckets, Mr. Butler, 20% hit rate at 22.5 in his last 5 against Philly. James Harden, 0% hit rate at 22.5. He's only played Miami once. And then Max Strus. Well, I guess you could say James Harden's played Miami twice now, so he's 0 for 2. Max Strus at 11.5 points. He is now 0 for his last 5 going up against the Philadelphia 76ers. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the points props that you guys are liking from this first game, Philadelphia and Miami. Collect Grails is already jumping on the under Max Strus 11.5 points train. As we just mentioned, the last 5 times that Strus has played Philadelphia, 0 for 5, 0% hit rate at 11.5 points. So maybe we start things off by looking at Mr. Strus. Mr. Strus at 11.5 points. He had himself a very good series against the Atlanta Hawks, but, that was the Hawks, not the Sixers. So let's start by taking a look at his playoff games so far. At 11.5 points, as you can see, against Atlanta, he was a good 4 for 5. 4 for 5, 80% hit rate in that Atlanta series. Now, game 1 against Philadelphia, he had himself just 5 points against the Sixers. Let's quickly take a look at what he's done against Philadelphia. At 11.5 points, he's now faced Philly 5 times this season, has went under his points prop in all 5 games. 0 for 5, averaging just 7 points per game against the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's look at this game 1 on Max Strus here and see maybe what was the reason that he went under his points prop, because he got more minutes in game 1 than he had in any previous games against the Philadelphia 76ers. He played about 33 minutes, so he got plenty of run. His field goal attempts, although he got a lot more minutes, the attempts weren't really all that high. He was held to less than 10 field goal attempts. 8 to be exact. He went 2 for 8, did not shoot the ball very well, just 25%. And if you look at some of his previous games against Philadelphia, 33%, 25%, 43%, 0%. He just does not seem to shoot the ball very well against the Sixers through 5 contests this season. Now, as far as 3-point attempts go, we know this is his specialty. He is a marksman. He is a deadly 3-point shooter, but not so much when it comes to playing the 76ers. They D him up pretty good here. He's had 7, 9, 5, 7 attempts in some of these games. And in those games, 29%, 22%, 0%, 14%. He was 1 for 7 in game 1. So he's getting opportunities against the Sixers. He is just not shooting the ball very well. Does not get to the free throw line all that much, so he's not going to get a lot of points from the foul line. He's mostly going to be out there taking threes. So you could see he has struggled against the Philadelphia 76ers at knocking down his 3-point shots. Very bad shooting percentages for Strus. As far as a projection on his points go, I got him projected for 15.2. I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say that's a little bit too high. I mean, could it happen? Sure. If he's going to shoot 7, 8 threes and, maybe he knocks down a few of those and has a much better shooting night, which we have not seen. We haven't seen that through a few games against Philadelphia at all this season. So I have little hope that he's going to all of a sudden, knock down 5 threes. But, the case could be made that if his 3-point shot is falling, yeah, he could go over 11.5. But history says that it's unlikely that will happen tonight. But anyway, 12.5 points is where he's at on most of these books. At 12.5, they're betting the under. We are seeing him at 11.5 on a couple of sites as well. Not a whole lot of action at 11.5 points. I think people are kind of staying away from this prop. But if you want to hold my feet to the fire and ask me to take a stance on Max Strus points, I guess I'd have to say I'm taking the under on Strus at 11.5, just based on what we've seen, right? Against Philly, 0 for 5. Maybe eventually he ends up with 12 points. I don't know if it'll be tonight. I don't know if it'll be this season. But so far, 0 for 5, averaging just 7 points against the Sixers through a number of contests. So let's see. What other point props are you guys liking here from this first game? Mr. Victor says that Strus is going to bounce back. That he's going to bounce back. He could. I mean, listen, if the 3-point shot's falling, anything could happen, right? Those threes add up pretty quick. What other points props are you liking from this game? Everyday Fantasy is saying that James Harden's points have value when you compare it to the books. So we talked a little bit about James Harden just not looking like the guy that we've come accustomed to seeing over the last few years, right? The guy that used to blow by people, the guy that used to hit that patented, it was almost like a double step back, right? And he was knocking down those threes off of that little double step back. The guy that would be so great at drawing contact and stuff and getting to the free throw line at a high rate. He's just not looking like that guy lately. So it's going to be kind of hard to trust any James Harden over for points, right? Let's take a look at what he's done throughout the playoffs so far. He has now appeared in 7 playoff games this season. He's just 3 for 7. 3 for 7 at going over 21.5 points. The most that he's had, basically his ceiling, is 22. So he's barely limped over 21.5 points in just 3 out of 7 contests. The other games that he's played in, 14, 19, 15. And most importantly, game 1 against the Miami Heat, just 16 points. Just 16 points from James Harden. Now, I'm not going to say that he's totally washed. I'm just going to say that he's starting to look washed. I think that there's still star potential in him. I think that there's talent, I guess you could say, still with James Harden. I think he's losing some of the athleticism. I think some of the tricks that he's known for, that he goes to in his bag, aren't quite working the same anymore. But yeah, I mean, he could have himself a decent game. I'm just not feeling overly confident. Being that the most he's had in any of the playoff games so far is 22, it's going to be a major sweat if you want to take any type of over on James Harden's points. Against Miami this season, he has now faced Miami twice. He is now 0 for 2 against the Heat at covering 21.5 points. Worth noting, this first game was back when he was still with the Brooklyn Nets, had just 14 points in that game. So we don't really have a significant sample size on James Harden as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers against the Miami Heat. Just this one game where he scored 16 points the other night. So let's take a look at that a little bit closer. Was it a minutes issue for Harden? Not really. I mean, he played about 34, 35 minutes. He was definitely out there. What was he doing while he was out there? Well, he shot the ball 13 times. Arguably the best player on the Philadelphia 76ers, not named Joel Embiid, right? He's probably second in the pecking order behind Embiid at this point. But yet only shot 13 times and was just a pathetic 5 for 13 from the field, 38%. Do we think he shoots the ball a little bit more tonight? Or does he kind of fade? Fade into the shadows. Let the Tyrese Maxiells and Tobias Harrises of the world step up. We know that he's got, I wouldn't say a case of the yips, but he does do disappearing acts come playoff time. This is nothing new for James Harden. We've seen this in the past. Dominant during the regular season. Playoffs roll around, and he fades, right? He fades away. And I ain't talking about a fadeaway jumper either, because he doesn't do that. So James Harden's going to have to shoot the ball more. He's going to have to make more of the shots that he takes. 3-point attempts, 2 for 7, 29%. Terrible shooting night from the field. Terrible shooting night from beyond the arc. And then he only got to the free throw line 4 times. Made all 4, so that's encouraging. But we're going to have to see him attack, be a little bit more aggressive, not stand around, not hide behind Tobias Harris and hide behind Tyrese Maxiell. Like, this guy, needs to either put up or shut up, right? At this point, this might be the last hurrah here for James Harden. He might be wanting a max contract. I don't know if he's going to get it based on what we see here. So he's got some money on the line too. So Everyday Fantasy pointed out that there's a little bit of value on this prop. He's at 21.5 points. We're seeing him at 22.5 points out on the sports book. So when he says that there's value on this point prop, he means that PrizePicks has him discounted in a way at 21.5 versus where you're going to find him everywhere else at 22.5. Now the betting public, they are taking the over on James Harden at 22.5 points. Minus 125, minus 130. They have faith that Harden finds 23 points tonight. I don't know if they're watching the games, but I think if you've watched the games lately with James Harden, it just ain't looking good, right? He's just not looking like the James Harden of old. But for what it's worth, he's projected for 24.2 points. I just would not trust this guy to go over 21.5. I don't trust him. So there is value, though. So Everyday Fantasy, you're right. There is value. Breadwinner Bob's liking a couple of different props. He's liking Bam Adebayo, who we talked about, had a very strong game one. He's also liking some Tyrese Maxiell at 20.5. Let's start with Bam Adebayo here at 18.5, because without Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo took advantage, right? He took advantage of the situation. You got an old, over-the-hill DeAndre Jordan out there. You got a young, inexperienced, what's his name, Paul Reed? Am I getting that right? And anyway, Bam Adebayo took full advantage of the situation, so maybe he takes advantage of this matchup again tonight. Let's take a look at Bam. Through the playoffs so far, it's been a little frustrating if you're a Miami Heat fan. If you're a Bam Adebayo prop taker, it's been kind of frustrating. But look at what's happening here, right? We go back to game one and fast forward all the way to the last game against Philadelphia. And you've seen game over game for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 games in a row now, he's increased his scoring output from 6 to 9 to 13 to 14 to 20 to 24 in game one against the 76ers. He's ramping up. It looks like he's ramping up. We've got a real hockey stick type of graph here for Bam Adebayo, something you don't really ever see. Kind of interesting, though. The last 2 games, he has gone over 18.5 points, bringing him to a 2 for 6 hit rate, or 33% through 6 playoff games this season. Now let's take a look at what he's done against Philadelphia. He's now played the Sixers 3 times. He is now covered in 2 out of 3. Most recently, March 21st and May 2nd, game 1. 22 and 24 points respectively, averaging 17-3 versus the Sixers. So it's looking pretty nice here for Bam Adebayo. He played about 34 minutes in game 1. He only shot the ball 10 times, but he was a very efficient 8 for 10. So 80% field goal percentage, that's bound to come down a little bit. Like, is he going to continue shooting 80% from the field? I highly doubt it. I doubt that. He also got to the free throw line 8 times, something that he had never really done in his previous games against the Philadelphia 76ers. And he went a perfect 8 for 8. So you cannot ask for much of a better shooting night, both from the field, from the free throw line, than Bam Adebayo had in game 1, right? I think there's going to be a little bit of regression. I think some pullback is to be expected a little bit. Now, that's not to say that he can't go over 18.5 points, but look, he played damn near a perfect game. 8 for 10, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. I don't know if he repeats those types of percentages. We will have to wait and see what adjustments are made by the Philadelphia 76ers, but nonetheless, he's projected for a nice little 19.2. At 18.5 points, the betting public, they're liking the over on Bam. They are betting it up, minus 125 to go over, minus 130. And then we're seeing him at 19.5 points out on your various sports books. So there you go, Breadwinner Bob. You think Bam Adebayo repeats another 80% from the field, another 100% from the free throw line again tonight? If his percentages go down, he's going to need more volume. He could make up for a poor percentage with more volume. He only shot 10 times. So there you go. Somebody also asked about Tyrese Maxiell here at 20.5 points. Maxi's probably in a good spot at 20.5, especially if we think that James Harden is pretty much washed. If the tread on the tires for James Harden are falling apart here, then maybe we go with Tyrese Maxiell. Somebody's going to have to score for Philadelphia, right? I mean, we saw Harris step up in a big way in game one. Maxey at 20.5 points. Didn't quite get there. Finished with 19. But let's take a look at his playoff run so far. By default, he's going to be at 21.5 on props.cash. We bump him down to 20.5. We see that he's got a 3 for 7 hit rate. That's 43%. He's been kind of hard to trust. A little up and a little down, which is what separates some of these good young players from the great veteran players is consistency. And we've seen a lack of consistency from Tyrese Maxiell. He could go for 38 like he did in game 1 versus Toronto, and then he could come all the way down to 11 points like he did in game 4 versus the Raptors, right? So if he's going to take the next step in his career, it's going to have to be him being a little bit more consistent game in and game out. Now we know Embiid's out of there, so more opportunities will open up for Maxey, for Harris, and for the rest of the guys on the team. But game 1, he scored 19, fell short. Let's take a look at what he's done against Miami this season. He's now played the Heat 5 times. He's went over just 2 for 5. So a 40% hit rate for Tyrese Maxiell. Let's take a closer look at game 1. He played 35 minutes, got plenty of court time. 15 field goal attempts. That's actually a healthy number for him. He was just 6 for 15. You'd like to see him knock down a couple more shots. I mean, literally, if he knocked down one more shot, that would be the difference of him hitting and not hitting on today's point prop at 20.5. These lines makers are very sharp, very, very good at their jobs. So if Maxey makes one more field goal, he's over. His 3-point attempts were terrible. Made just 1 out of 6. You'd like to see that improve. If that can improve to 43%, 50%, 40%, then he's fine at 20.5 points. He should go over. 6 for 6 from the line. Love to see that. Perfect from the foul line, and wasn't in any kind of foul trouble or anything like that. So I think Maxey will be in another good spot. We'd like to see his percentages come up just a little bit. I'm fine with the volume. Volume looks healthy. Minutes look healthy. So it's just a matter of him knocking down 1 or 2 more field goal attempts or 3-point field goal attempts. And then he should be all right as long as the volume and minutes remain the same. As far as the projection for Tyrese Maxiell, I got him projected for 20.8 points, so he's real close to this 20.5 prop line. We're seeing him at 21.5 out on the books. Now at 21.5 versus the 20.5, we're getting a little bit of value here, 1 point value. At 21.5, though, they are betting the under, so they expect him to stay at 21 points or less. So if we take the over at 20.5, he scores 21. We're feeling pretty good about ourselves, right? So there you go. A little bit about Tyrese Maxiell for you. Think he's in a pretty good spot. Should get plenty of minutes, plenty of shots. Just got to make a couple more. That's it. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for much. Let's see. What other points props are you liking from this game? Anything else before we move on? I mean, we've talked about all the major ones, the big ones for the most part. Aldebert Victor wants to discuss a little bit of Jimmy Buckets at 21.5. We saw Jimmy sort of take the back seat to Big Man Bam, right? How long will Jimmy Butler take the back seat, though, before he decides, hey, tonight's my time to shine. Tonight's my game to score. Maybe it's tonight. We're getting him at 21.5, so if you're using props.cash, make sure you bump his prop line down to 21.5 to get the apple-to-apple comparison versus PrizePicks. But Jimmy Butler, 21.5 points, a 40% hit rate through 5 playoff games. That's not great. He's been another guy that's just been hard to trust. I don't trust a lot of the Miami Heat players, FYI. I just think that they're one of the most difficult teams, game in and game out, to really try and get a read on because of stuff like this where Jimmy Butler shows up with 45 points and then he drops down to 20 or even 15 like he did in game 1. But we know that he's got 36, 45 point upside. We've seen it. It can happen. Did not happen in game 1 though, just 15 points. So let's take a look at what he's done against Philadelphia this season. He's now played Philly a total of 4 times. In those 4 games, he has exceeded 21.5 points in just one of them. He is now 1 for 4, had 27 back at the end of March. Let's look at this first game against Philly and see what happens here. So his minutes were definitely down. He only played 30 minutes. That's the fewest minutes he's played in any of his previous games versus the 76ers. So you'd like to see him, 34 plus minutes, 35 plus minutes. That would be better, right? More minutes, more opportunities. As far as field goal attempts go, he shot the ball a healthy 16 times. Had himself a really bad shooting night, though, 5 of 16. So the opportunities, the chances were there for Jimmy Butler. He just did not make the most of them. 31% field goal percentage will not get you over 21.5 points. If he's shooting 31%, he's going to have to pretty much nearly double the volume. He's going to have to attempt close to 30 shots at a 31% field goal percentage. So we need that percentage to come up if we feel confident in taking the over. He was also 1 for 4 from beyond the arc. Not a big-time three-point shooter. He's not going to take a lot of shots from beyond the arc. Free throw attempts. Now, this could be a big problem here. Big reason why he went under his points prop. You see what he did in previous games against Philly? Was able to get to the line 7 times, 11 times, 11 times, but just 4. So maybe we need to see him in a more aggressive stance, more in a attack mode mentality, right? Get to the free throw line 4, 5, 6 more times, and then, we're talking. We're right there around 20 to 22 points. So shot poorly from the field, and then on top of that, compounding issue, didn't get to the free throw line and didn't have quite as much free throw volume as we would like. Looking at a projection for Jimmy Butler, got him at 23.2. That's almost 2 whole points more than the 21.5. We take a look at him on a couple of different sports books. He's at 22.5 pretty much everywhere other than PrizePicks. So we are getting value on Jimmy Butler at 21.5. At 22.5, he's a betting favorite to go over, minus 120 on some sites, minus 115 on others. But then you got him at a minus 112 to go under on a site like FanDuel. So seems like the betting public's kind of torn here. They're kind of split. They don't know whether they should be going over or under on Jimmy Butler. What do you guys think? You taking the over or under on Jimmy Buckets at 21.5? Could be a tough one. I might just stay away just because I don't like the Miami Heat. They're tough. They're tough to figure out. Going through, just looking to see if there's any other points props from this game that you guys want to talk about, but not seeing a whole lot here. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the late game and the points props from that one. So we got Dallas, Phoenix, Luka, CP3, Devin Booker, etc., etc. Lots of different ways to go on this particular game. Let's just run through the hit rates when these teams face off, dating back to last year. Let's see who's been hitting, who's been missing. Leading the way in terms of hit rate, Chris Paul at 17.5 points, 71% in his last 7 games against the Mavs. He's got the highest percentage of hit rate versus Dallas, or Dallas versus Phoenix. Highest hit rate for his points of anybody in this series. Jay Crowder at 8.5 points, 57% in his last 7 versus Dallas. Mikal Bridges, 43% in his last 7 against Dallas. Cam Johnson, 43% in his last 7 against Dallas. You got Dwight Powell, 5.5 points, just a 33% hit rate in his last 6 against Phoenix. Luka at 33.5, just a 20% hit rate in his last 5 against Phoenix. Big Deandre Ayton, 17% in his last 6 against Dallas. Devin Booker, 26.5 points, just 17% in his last 6. So you're seeing some pretty awful hit rates here in this matchup. Jalen Brunson, everybody's playoff darling, 18.5 points, just 14% in his last 7 versus the Suns. DFS, 12.5 points, 14% in his last 7 versus Phoenix. You got Reggie Bullock in 0 for 4 and Spencer Dinwiddie 0 for 1 versus Phoenix. So what do you guys like in as far as points props are concerned from this particular game? Booker, Let's talk about Devin Booker. 24.5 points on PrizePicks. We saw Devin Booker come out. We were concerned a little bit about the hamstring. We weren't quite sure what we were going to see out of Book. He had himself a decent game. I wouldn't say that it was great or anything like that. Decent game. 23. I would call that a decent Devin Booker game. Not a great Devin Booker game. But so far through 4 playoff games at 24.5 points, he's hit the over in 2 of 4. Do we think Devin Booker's quite healthy yet? I didn't watch a lot of that game, but do we think the hammy is hampering Devin Booker in any kind of way? Did he look like himself to you? 50% hit rate through 4 playoff games so far at 24.5 points. We take a look and see what he's done against Dallas at 24-5. He's only hit the over in 1 out of 4 contests versus the Mavs this season. So not great hit rates in the playoffs, not great hit rates against tonight's opponent, the Dallas Mavericks. We talked about what he did in game 1, just 23 points in that game. Just 23 points against Dallas in game 1. He played a healthy 38 minutes, so the minutes were there. He was out there running around, active. Shot the ball 20 times. 7 for 20, though. It's not going to pay the bills. 35%. We've seen games where he shot 44%, 52%. 35% is pretty ugly for him. 7 for 20. We take a look at his three-point attempts. Just 1 for 5. His three-point attempts were down a little bit. Not only were they down, but he did not shoot a good percentage of the shots that he took. 1 for 5, 20%. Not good. Did get to the free throw line, a nice little 8 out of 8 from the free throw line. So hopefully he continues to get to the charity stripe. If he can get to the line again 8 times and go 8 for 8, and we start seeing a little more three-point volume, see those percentages come up. If he can raise this 7 for 20, 35% up to like 40 to 45%, then we'll be in good shape with Devin Booker here. But yeah, he definitely played a healthy run of minutes, over 38 minutes played. Came real close. I mean, you're talking about 1 more shot drops. 1 more shot drops for Devin Booker, and he's over 24.5. So you're basically betting on him getting 20 plus shots, which looks pretty doable, right? He's been getting 20 or more in all 4 games against Dallas. You're basically betting on him going a little higher than 35% as long as he maintains his free throw output and maybe lifts the three-point attempts up a little bit, right? Totally doable. We're not asking for a whole lot. I mean, we're just asking for a gradual improvement in what he did in game 1. Now, at 30.2, that seems like a pretty lofty projection. I don't know that 30.2 is going to happen for Devin Booker tonight. I could see him more in like, if he goes over 26, 27 point range. 30.2 seems more like a ceiling game. Like if everything's working Devin Booker's way, if everything's clicking, everything's happening, then I could see Devin Booker going for 30. But everything's going to have to fall into place for him. But we are getting good value here. He's at 24.5 over on PrizePicks. We're seeing him at 25.5 and even 26.5 on some of these sports books. So at 25.5, the public is betting the over, minus 130 and minus 120, even minus 127 on some sites. So if they're taking the over at 25.5, then I think we should give serious consideration at taking the over at 24.5. 1 more shot falls, Devin Booker hits the over at 24.5. And I think that's totally doable. Totally doable, right? What other points props from this game are standing out to you? I see we talked Devin Booker, Hustle Runner. Hustle Runner wants to talk about some CP3. JC, Gene or John, Cheriel, also liking some CP3 over points. What's up, Jay Rome? Appreciate you joining. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about CP3. I also see Leroy's talking DeAndre Ayton. We'll mention him as well. Some Reggie Bullock love being shown. Okay. Let's start with the leader here, right? The point god himself, Mr. Chris Paul. He's at a 16.5 point number today over on PrizePicks. Throughout the playoffs, more often than not, he has been hitting. He has been hitting at 16.5. So we bump him down to 16.5 on PropStatCash. You're getting a nice 86% hit rate from Chris Paul here. 6 for 7. You got to love all the green that you're seeing through 7 playoff games from CP3. He definitely wants to get back to the finals. He wants to capture that elusive championship ring that is missing from his impressive resume, right? So 6 for 7, 86% hit rate. And let's take a look and see what he's done against Dallas this season. He's now played Dallas a total of 4 times. He has gone over in 3 out of 4. So again, another nice hit rate of 75%. So based on what I'm seeing so far, why wouldn't I be taking the over on Chris Paul at 16.5? Had 19 in game 1 of the series. 19 in game 1 on just 30 minutes. Now imagine his minutes up. Maybe the game's a little bit more competitive. Imagine his minutes closer up to like 35, right? He hit 19 points on 30 minutes. So if his minutes go up, I mean, he's going to have another chance, a real shot at going over 16.5 points again. He shot the ball 13 times, which is about the norm for him versus Dallas this season. 7 for 13, 54%. Very efficient game. Anytime a guard shooting over 50%, that's very good and very efficient. So if he can repeat that success, which he's done through most of the games against Dallas, right? 50%, 57%, 54%. If he could stay at 50% or better, he'll be in good shape tonight. His three-point attempts were also falling pretty well. 2 for 5, 40%. That's a good night from beyond the arc for anybody. So that looked good. Free throw attempts, he's not getting to the line a whole lot, but when he does get there, he hits at a pretty high rate. 75% and 100% through these other 3 games versus this Maverick squad. So pretty impressive. 19 points on just 30 minutes of play. If that number goes up from 30 minutes to maybe 34, 35 minutes, I think he's going to be right there in the mix, man. Right there in the mix to hit 17 or more points once again. The fact that he was able to do it on such limited minutes is a very good sign. At 16.5 points, some books have him at 16.5, some have him at 17.5. At 16.5, he is a betting favorite to go over, minus 125 and minus 130. At 17.5, he's being bet under. But we do have a good projection for him at 17.6. That sounds doable, like 17 to 18 points tonight. I could totally see Chris Paul coming out and doing that. So I'm thinking Chris Paul looks good. What do you guys think, though? I'm just one man with one opinion. But with the hit rates being what they are throughout the playoffs, with the hit rates being what they are against the Dallas Mavericks, I think he's going to be in another good spot. Some of you folks were talking Deandre Ayton at 18.5 points. We talked about how he's probably going to be in a great spot throughout this series against Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber. Like, they really don't have anybody. Dallas really doesn't have anybody that's going to match up well with Deandre Ayton. He's just got the talent advantage, the size advantage. He's just better. He's just better in every facet, right, than anything Dallas has to stop him. Unless Dallas unleashes secret weapon, Boban Marjanovic. That's the only one that could possibly stop Deandre Ayton. Will they do it? They probably won't. And that's probably a fault of Jason Kidd's, man. He should release Boban. He should unshackle the monster that is Boban if he really wants to stop Deandre Ayton. He's the only thing that could stop Ayton. I don't think Jason Kidd's going to do it, though. Bad things happen when you let Boban off of his leash. And Kidd knows that. I mean, it could mean the demise of the NBA. Could be the end of the National Basketball Association if Boban is released in the playoffs. So Jason Kidd doesn't want that to happen, obviously, so he's not going to let Boban loose. So shout out to Jason Kidd for looking out for the rest of the NBA and not turning Boban loose on the association like that. It takes great restraint by Coach Kidd. Anyway, Deandre Ayton is at 18.5 points. Throughout the playoffs so far, we've seen Deandre Ayton go 6 for 7. 86% hit rate. Doesn't look like he's going to be stopped. Doesn't look like he's going to be slowed down anytime soon. He's averaging a very healthy 21.1 points per game through 7 playoff games. Chris, listen, we're not going to get Boban. Honestly, the National Guard might be called out if Boban Marjanovic is let loose by Jason Kidd. We just don't need that national disaster right now. Don't need that. So we're not going to see Boban. We're going to continue to see Deandre Ayton dominate the likes of Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber. There is a solution to stop Deandre Ayton. I just don't think Jason Kidd wants to hit that red button and release the monster that is Boban Marjanovic. So DeAndre Ayton will continue to eat until that happens. He is 2 for 3 against Dallas so far this season, 19 and 25. Did miss back in November with just 8 points, but yeah, a great game one for DeAndre Ayton at 25. Great game one. Played a healthy 33 minutes, shot the ball 20 times, gang. DeAndre Ayton, if he's shooting 20 times, I'm taking the over on his points. Again and again and again. All right, maybe it's an outlier. Maybe he doesn't shoot 20 times again tonight, but 12 of 20, they're going to feed him the ball and let him shoot that many times. I'm going to keep taking the over on his points prop at 18.5. Did not get to the free throw line all that much, was just 1 for 1, but yeah, the volume was crazy for DeAndre Ayton. So getting you a projection on DeAndre Ayton's points here. Got him projected for 21.6. 21.6 at 19.5 out on the sports books. They are betting him under at 19.5, but we're getting him at 18.5, 1 point of value. So I like it. I think Ayton's going to continue to do his thing here. Chris, you're saying that Boban survived John Wick? Whew. It's amazing. Lewis says Boban fought John Wick and lived to tell the tale. Well, obviously he didn't kill John Wick. So I guess they must have fought to a draw, a standstill. That's impressive that he went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest killers of all time, John Wick. Amazing. What else do we have here? Anything else from this game that you guys are liking from points? Breadwinner Bob, you're liking Reggie Bullock again at 8.5? Are we going back to Jalen Brunson, though? Do we go back to Brunson after a disastrous game one? Are we staying away from Brunson? Are we taking the wait and see on Jalen Brunson and see what he does in game two? Or are we going to hop back on Jalen Brunson at 18.5 points? That's something that I'm interested to see what people are going to do with Jalen Brunson tonight. But we're talking Reggie Bullock first. He is now 5 for 7 throughout 7 playoff games. He hit in all 5 of the first 5 games that he appeared in. Last 2 games, things have been down a little bit for Reggie Bullock, 6 and 7 points. 7 against Phoenix. Really close to getting it done, but close doesn't cut it. He is now 0 for 4 against Phoenix this season at covering 8.5 points. Scrolling down here, looking at Reggie Bullock's points. Played a healthy 33 minutes, more minutes than we've seen him play in any of the previous games against Phoenix. So plenty of run, had some opportunities, shot 7 times, was 2 for 7, 29%. That's not a good field goal percentage. And really, when you look at previous games, he hasn't really shot the ball well at all against Phoenix in previous matchups. So I don't know if I feel totally confident. 17%, 38%. 33% and then 29%. So he's struggling against the likes of Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder. He's not really getting his points. All 7 of his shots, by the way, were 3-pointers. So he went 2 for 7 from beyond the arc. Has not shot well from beyond the arc against Phoenix through 4 games this season. 33%, 1 for 3. I mean, he was 0 for 5 here, 0 for 1 there. 2 for 7 in the game one. And he's not really getting to the free throw line. He's out there camping the 3-point line, so he's not going to get to the free throw line a whole lot. So Reggie Bullock, historically, this season, struggling against the Phoenix Suns. He's at 8.5 points on PrizePicks. We're seeing him at 8.5 on the sports books where they're betting the over. -125 and -128. So even though he's projected for 12, I don't know. Just seeing the struggles against Phoenix, I just don't think I'm going to touch Reggie Bullock's points tonight. I think there's better ways to go. Like Breadwinner Bob saying, maybe you go Reggie Bullock for rebounds. We know that one's been hitting at a really high clip. Reggie Bullock's rebounds. Probably a better hit rate than his points as of now. Chris is saying that Jalen Brunson's going to have to prove himself. Is that kind of the consensus? Are you guys thinking we got to stay off of Jalen Brunson until we see what he does in game 2? Or maybe you're bold enough and you go right back to Jalen Brunson and he ends up paying off for you. Essam says that he's liking Reggie Bullock for his fantasy score. Kevin believes that Deandre Ayton is chasing a big old bag of cash and he's going to continue to dominate in the paint. All right. I like the way you guys are thinking here. All right, let's move on from this game. Let's start talking about some assists, rebounds. I mean, we still got a lot to cover on tonight's slate. Is there any assist props that you're considering from the Philadelphia-Miami game? Let's start there. You guys let me know. And I just want to thank you guys for assisting me and hitting that like button. Wait. Don't hit it. Just tickle the like button. Just tickle it. Nothing aggressive today, okay? Everybody's like, smash that like button. Hammer that like button. Hulk, smash that. No, I just want you to be delicate and gentle with the like button today. Just give it a little tickle for me. You don't have to do anything aggressive. Let's reel it in a little bit. Let's not be so aggressive. And let's treat the like button with respect and dignity and love. Just tap it. A light tap. Gentle tap. As far as assists from this Philadelphia-Miami game, we got Tyrese Maxiell at 3.5. 63% hit rate in 8 games versus the Heat. Bam Adebayo, 3.5. 50% hit rate in his last 4 against the Philadelphia 76ers. Tobias Harris at 2.5. 43% hit rate in his last 7 against Miami. Tyler Herro, we're getting him at 4 on PrizePicks, 3.5 out on the sports books. 43% hit rate for him in his last 7 contests versus Philadelphia. Jimmy Butler, 5 on PrizePicks, 5.5 out on the books. 40% in his last 5 against the Sixers. Gabe Vincent, 0 for 3. And James Harden, 0 for 1 or maybe even 2. Which assist props are you guys liking the most? Bam? Harrow? Niang? This guy? Niang? Am I saying his name right? Tyler Herro is another one. Tyrese Maxiell is another one that's being mentioned by you guys. A lot of different plays coming out of here. Okay. Let's start with Bam then. He was the first one that caught my eye. Breadwinner Bob throwing Bam Adebayo out there at 3.5 assists. We talked about Bam and what a great game 1 he had with the absence of Joel Embiid. Let's see what he's done first and foremost throughout the playoffs so far. At 3.5 assists, 4 for 6, 67% hit rate. That's looking kind of nice. Not terrible, right? Not terrible. He's gone over in his last 2 games. He's got a little hit streak going. Gets Philadelphia this season. He's now 1 for 3. He did drop 4 assists back in game 1. So things kind of, looking decent for Bam. 67% throughout the playoffs so far. Let's get you a projection on Bam Adebayo here. I got him projected for 3.8, closer to 4 than it is 3, so that's kind of encouraging. And at 3.5, we're seeing the betting public really taking the over here. Minus 140 at 3.5. Minus 140. That's right, Jay. Tenderly touch the like button. So there's Bam for you at 3.5. Don't know if I love that. I mean, it looks okay, I guess. It looks just okay. Ja Toa is liking some Tyler Herro at 4 assists. I'm guessing you're wanting to take the over on Mr. Herro here. He had himself a great game 1, especially in the scoring department. So let's see what Tyler's been up to throughout this playoff run for Miami. We're going to bump him up, though, from 3.5 to 4. And when we do that, a couple of these game logs that were green are now gray, meaning he has tied or pushed in those games, thanks to Prop.Cash, letting us know that it's a tie or a push by turning it gray for us. Anyways, he has now played 6 playoff games, he is 4-for-6 at 4 assists or better. So same hit rates technically as his teammate, Bam Adebayo. We take a look at what he's done against Philadelphia. He's now played the Sixers a total of 4 times. He's hit 4 or more assists in 2 of 4. He's only gone over 4 assists in 1 of 4. So just a 25% hit rate at going over 4 assists. So 7 big dimes in game 1, though. I don't know if he's going to repeat that sort of success tonight. 7 seems kind of high. For him to go back to 7 assists would be very impressive. But at 4 assists, I have him projected at 3.9, which is basically 4. And then at 3.5, he's a big betting favorite to go over. Minus 155. Minus 155 to go over 3.5. So you could be in a situation where this thing ties or pushes at 4. But we did see 7 assist upside. 7 assists upside in his last game. Another one that Mr. Bob has mentioned here is this guy, Tyrese Maxiell, at 3.5 assists. Let's go take a look at Mr. Maxey and see what he's been up to throughout the playoffs and against the Miami Heat this season. Starting first at the playoff logs here at 3.5 assists, he's 4 for 7, just a 57% hit rate. Dropped just 2 dimes against Miami in game 1. So definitely not one of his better games when it comes to assists. We look at the previous games against the Heat. He is now 3 for 5 at going over 3.5 assists, 60% hit rate there. So 2 assists versus Miami. One thing that I would recommend you guys take a look at is the potential assists. And you could do that by looking at NBA.com. I just Googled potential assist NBA. Anyway, it's on NBA.com/stats/players/passing. And then you could go through here and take a look at, the different players from the different teams. Right now, there's a filter applied for playoffs because we're in the playoffs. You could click advanced filters. You could go ahead and change this from all teams to a specific team. So we could look at like Philadelphia, for instance. We could click run it. And then we could take a look at who's had the most potential assists for the Philadelphia 76ers throughout the playoffs. And you could do that by going to this column here, potential assists. I just sorted it from greatest to least. James Harden obviously leading the way for Philadelphia with 14.7 potential assists per game. Right behind him is Tyrese Maxiell at 6.4 potential assists. And then you can see the rest of the guys, how they fall in. Harris is 3rd, Embiid 4th at 5.2. So I highly recommend you go around to NBA.com, play around with this tool a little bit. But you can see, which players have the highest potential assists, right? It's almost like a field goal attempt in a way. Potential assists, kind of similar to a field goal attempt. But you want to target guys who are at least in a situation where you can get an assist. So the more potential assists there are, the more assists potentially that a player could get. So this is a cool tool to kind of come and take a look at, and then you could even like filter it out even further, like who leads the team in potential assists versus a specific opponent or anything like that. This is all free, so you can go check it out on NBA.com. Just Google potential assists NBA, and this was the first link that popped up. But yeah, definitely check into that. That might help you with your assist player prop research a bit more. But anyway, Tyrese Maxiell, 3 for 5 now against Miami. Taking a look at a projection on Maxiell. Maxiell, 4.9 projected assists tonight. So that puts him right around 5. At 3.5, he's a big betting favorite, minus 145 to go over at 3.5. So he's had about 6 to 7 potential assists per game. So he needs to turn those potential assists into actual assists. So we'll have to see if he's able to do so tonight. Otherwise, any other assist props from this first game that we're wanting to go to? Breadwinner Bob says going under on James Harden assists is the move. Well, he's at 9. Probably at 9.5 on the books and has been bumped down a notch. He is leading Philadelphia with nearly 15 potential assists throughout the playoffs per game. So the players around him just need to make the shots. The potential assists are there at 14.7, nearly 15. That's a pretty good number. I mean, just for reference, if you clear the Philadelphia 76ers and click run it, the guy who's leading the NBA throughout the playoffs in potential assists is Ja Morant. Right behind him, Chris Paul, and third is James Harden. Pretty big gap between Morant, Paul, and then Harden. Harden sitting right there at the cusp of 15, but these guys are at 16, 17 potential assists per game. So again, I advise and encourage you to come take a look at some of these advanced player passing analytics over on NBA.com. But anyway, James Harden, he's at 9 assists today. Let's take a look and see how 9 assists have treated James Harden throughout the playoffs this season. We take a look here using props.cash. We bump him down to 9, and you can see now in 7 playoff games, he has now went for 9 assists or more in 4 out of 7. Not a great hit rate, not a dominant hit rate or anything like that. And then we take it a step further and look at what he's done against Miami. He has yet to cover 9 assists in 2 previous games against the Heat. We talked about this one. This was back when he was with the Brooklyn Nets. So that one kind of doesn't count. So we really only have 1 game log to go off of versus Miami. Had just 5 assists in that one. Jumping ahead here, taking a look at Harden's projected assists. He's projected for 11.3. Seems a little high. For me. At 9.5, he's a betting favorite to go under, minus 135 and minus 125. Yeah. Like Bob's saying, you have to, take players on or off the court. Like, get in there on NBA.com and play around with those filters. There's a lot of different filters that you could do here. You could change this from, like I said, all teams to just the Philadelphia 76ers. You could change this from all opponents to just the Miami Heat. Click run. And then you've got the 1 playoff game against the Miami Heat. Harden had 15 potential assists, which is right around where he's, been averaging throughout the playoffs at 14.7. So in game 1, he had 15 potential assists. Maxey had 6 potential assists. So Harden continues to dominate and lead the way in terms of potential assists. So he needs to go 9 of 15 to push. 15 potential, he needs to convert on 9 of those potential assists. Pending he stays right around 15 like he has throughout the playoffs so far. But dig in there, man. Do your research. If you're going to put money out there on something, at least know what you're putting your money on, right? Just don't tail blindly. So Maxey's assists, Harden's assists, we talked about those. Clutch is saying that he's going to take Chris Paul under assists. So let's just segue right into that other game, Phoenix and Dallas. We got Chris Paul sitting out there at 9 assists. We could do the same thing that we did with James Harden here. We could go ahead and just look at the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul's potential assists throughout the playoffs, 16.4. Devin Booker right behind him at 9. That's pretty good for Devin Booker. And then from there, it really falls off. So it's either going to be Chris Paul or Devin Booker getting the lion's share of the assists for the Phoenix Suns, right? You can take this a step further. You could say versus opponent. You can just look at Dallas only, so we get the game 1 results. Chris Paul, his potential assists were at 5 in game 1. Devin Booker's potential assists were at 17 in game 1. Definitely out of the norm, I would say. Out of the norm so far. 17 potential assists for Devin Booker in game 1 to Chris Paul's 5. I think that there's going to be a little bit of a correction. That's going to occur. Things will even back out to what we saw their playoff averages. which was Chris Paul leading the way at 16-4, Devin Booker still at a healthy 9. I don't think that Devin Booker's going to continue to dominate the potential assists in this series. I just don't. I think if we look at the numbers historically, you would agree. Chris Paul, though, he's sitting at 9 assists. We look at his playoff games so far at 9. He has now hit the over in 5 out of 7. That's a 71% hit rate. The last 2 games, his assists have been down. But he's scoring very well. Jumping ahead, taking a look at a projection on CP3, he's projected for nearly 12 dimes. I think, again, that's a little too high. I think 10 to 11, though, could be doable if he goes over. At 9.5, the public is taking the under on Chris Paul after 2 down games in the assist department. But I don't think he stays down at 5 potential assists like he did game 1. That number's got to go up, and I think it will. My filler Art coming through with a big old super chat. Appreciate that. He says he won stupid money yesterday on PrizePicks, so I wanted to share some love. I appreciate you sharing that love. Super chats never ever expected, but always appreciated. Thank you for your support through super chat. He says also, what do you think of this list? Maxey under 3 rebounds. Danny Green over 3.5 rebounds. Niang over 0.5 assists, and Butler over 6.5 rebounds. We're going to talk about rebounds in just a minute, but let's talk about your Niang over 0.5 assists real quick. Let's just look at his potential assists. Let's go back to Philadelphia. Click run, and we'll look at the potential assists for Niang throughout the playoffs. Right? Because this guy's getting more minutes now that Joel Embiid is out. He's averaging 1.6 potential assists throughout the playoffs so far. 1.6. If we take a look at what he did in game 1 against Miami, he had 1 potential assist in game 1 versus Miami in nearly 22 minutes. So in other words, let's say tonight he's at 1 potential assist. That 1 pass is going to have to convert. It did not convert for him. It did convert for him in game 1. So he had 1 potential assist, and that 1 assist turned into 2 points. I don't know, man. I feel like that there's better ways to spend your money than Niang at 1 potential assist. Basically, it's like a boom or bust type of prop, like a touchdown or a home run. But maybe even worse, maybe even more volatile. So, yes, his minutes are going to be up without Embiid, but that 1 potential assist did convert to 2 points. So he hit the over. I don't know. That's just like, if you want to gamble, I guess go for it. We could look at Niang here. Let's see if we have any more data on him on props.cash. Let me refresh. They don't have any prop lines for his assists. Let me see if I have a projection for him on his 0.5 assists. But hopefully you can kind of see what I'm trying to illustrate, that he passed the ball once. He had 1 potential assist, and it just miraculously ended up converting, and he ended up hitting the over. I mean, that's just a crazy prop, I guess, if you want to play it. If you want to play, I mean, it's like a scratch off. I don't know. I just wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. What's up, SMCG? All right, let's move on to rebounds, because you had a lot of questions on different rebounds. So one of the ones you mentioned was Tyrese Maxiell going under on his 3 rebounds. You also mentioned his teammate, Danny Green, at 3.5 rebounds. You want to go over there, though. And then Jimmy Butler, you were thinking about going over on his 6.5 rebounds. Let's start with Butler first at 6.5. Let's take a look at Jimmy Buckets. So throughout the playoffs so far this season, 6.5 rebounds, 3 for 5. He's gone now 3 out of his last 3 games at covering 6.5 boards. So 3 for 5, 60%. Not bad. And especially the fact that over the last 3 games, we've really seen him get on the boards at 10, 10, and 9. Now against Philadelphia this season, he's played them a total of 4 times. He is now 1 for 4 hitting in the last game. So just a 25% hit rate against the Sixers. So not great when you look at that. Let's take a look at a projection for him. He's projected for 6.5, which is right in line of where his prop line is at 6.5. But he's a big betting favorite. The public smashing the over at minus 145. And minus 141 on some of these books. So a lot of action coming in on Jimmy Butler over 6.5. I mean, I guess if you think that the last 3 games are a sign of things to come, that it's a new trend, Jimmy Butler getting on the boards, then I guess you could go there. Maybe you could go there. Tyrese Maxiell, you were wanting to go under on his 3 rebounds. Let's take a look at those. Under on his 3 rebounds. Well, through 7 playoff games, he has now hit 3 or more rebounds in 5 of 7. So that's actually a pretty good hit rate. We saw him rebound much better in the Toronto series, though. I mean, we've only got 1 game against Miami. He had 0 rebounds against Miami. What has he done in regular season games against Miami? I mean, not bad at 3 for 5, right? 3 for 5 against Miami this season at 3 rebounds or more. What do the projections look like for Maxey? They got him projected for 3.8. But at 3.5, you're seeing the public take the under, which is why he's down to 3. I mean, I could honestly see him in a tie at 3 rebounds or possibly going over 3. I don't know if I love that one quite as much. I don't know if I'm feeling the under on his 3 rebounds so much on that one. And then the other one that you mentioned, did we get them all? Danny Green. That's right. You wanted to go over on Danny Green at 3.5 boards. Let's look at Daniel Green, former North Carolina Tar Heel. Man, he's been in the league a long time. Danny Green's been playing basketball in the NBA for a long time now, if you really think about it. Danny Green, 3.5 rebounds throughout 7 playoff games. He is now 4 for 7. Kind of like Jimmy Butler the last 3 games. I mean, he's hit in all 3 of them. Just limping over in some of these games at 4, 5, not a bad game. So against Miami, he pulled in 4 in game 1, which brings his hit rate totals against Miami this season to 50% or 2 for 4, averaging 4 rebounds versus the Heat through 4 games. So 50% hit rate. It's not like he's dominating the glass or anything like that, but projected for 3.6. He is a betting favorite to go over 3.5 at minus 120. What are you guys thinking about these rebound props? I mean, Maxey at 3, he's wanting to go under. Danny Green at 3.5, he's wanting to go over there. Jimmy Butler at 6.5, wanting to go over there. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know that I'm getting a great read on any of these guys. I don't know if I feel great about any of them personally. What are you guys thinking? I mean, anything can happen, right? I would just say if you're going to take those, probably go light, definitely flex. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm thinking. What else? Any other Philadelphia Miami rebound props? Yeah, if Niang was at I don't know, 3 or 4 potential assists and he needed just 1, I'd feel a little bit better. But the fact that he had just 1 potential assist, got lucky basically, and the player made the shot, like, that's a little scary. You guys are talking about some PJ Tucker over on rebounds. 5.5. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at PJ Tucker. 5.5 rebounds for a guy that's going to get a pretty healthy amount of run. I mean, it seems at first glance pretty doable. You've seen what he's done here through 6 playoff games. He's at 5 or more rebounds in all 6 playoff games. He's hit the over in 4 out of 6. So he'll definitely be there flirting with 5 or more rebounds like we've seen him do. He had 7 in game 1, easily covering the 5.5. Against Philadelphia this season, he is now 2-for-5. 40% hit rate against the Sixers. We jump ahead and look at Tucker here. He's projected for a 6.3 at 5.5, minus 150. Betting favorite to go over at 5.5. So I would lean toward the over, being that the public is smashing the hell out of the over here at 5.5. Seeing some pretty decent hit rates for him over the playoff run. I mean, he's going to be right there at 5, 6, 7 rebounds. That's been the norm for him. No Embiid helps. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I agree. What about this next game? Phoenix, Dallas. Russell Westbrook saying he's liking Devin Booker to go for 5 or more boards. Let's take a look at Devin Booker. Now, he's been pretty limited throughout the playoffs so far. He's only appeared in 4 playoff games. We've seen him pull in 5 rebounds in the closeout game against the Pelicans, 9 rebounds in the opening game against the Mavericks. So the last 2 games, he has definitely went over 4.5 rebounds. But then prior to that, he had just 4 and 2 in some of these early playoff games against New Orleans. Against Dallas this season, he's now faced the Mavs total of 4 times. He has gone over more often than not against Dallas, 3 for 4. 75% hit rate. We've seen good rebound upside in at least 2 of these games as well, pulling in 9 back in November, and like we mentioned before, 9 in game 1 in the opening game of this series. So Booker's got some rebound potential, it seems, against Dallas here. We look at him on the books. He's also at 4.5 rebounds. Looks like a betting favorite to go over at 4.5. As far as a projection, 5.5, so a whole rebound higher than where he is at 4.5. Oscarito wants to know, Chris Paul assist or points? For me, it's going to be the points. The points have definitely had the higher hit rate, both against Dallas and throughout the playoffs. And Chris Paul was able to hit the over on his points in just 30 minutes. If he gets 35 minutes, 36 minutes tonight, I think he'll be right there back in the hunt to hit his points prop. Yeah, 1 potential assist is bad for Nang. Yeah, you're right. That's why I'm not going there. Isaac says, keep going under on Tobias Harris rebounds. I know against Toronto, he had himself a good series in terms of rebounding, but Isaac's saying that unless Doc's going with a small ball lineup, hit the under on Tobias Harris. All right. Any other rebounds from this Dallas game? I know Reggie Bullock was a popular play for his rebounds. I know Dorian Finney-Smith had been hitting his rebounds. Let's see if we got any info on these guys. Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. So Bullock continues to get his butt on the boards throughout the playoffs here. I mean, 7 playoff appearances this season, 6 for 7 now, 86% hit rate. He pulled in 6 boards against Phoenix in game 1. I mean, so Bullock at 4.5 rebounds, they just refused to bump him up, despite him going for 6 and 7 boards in the majority of the games throughout the playoffs. I mean, I would argue that the appropriate line might be 5.5 at this point for him, but we're not seeing the bump up yet for Reggie Bullock. Against the Phoenix Suns, he is now 75% this season. He has hit the over in 3 out of 4 games. So Reggie Bullock at 4.5 boards. When will they show this man a little more respect and bump him up to 5.5? Or hell, even 5 on PrizePicks, right? They're not bumping him up. So Reggie's still out there at 4.5. I think we still keep taking it until the wheels fall off. He's projected for a nice little 5.3 today, which is more than the 4.5. And he's a betting favorite, minus 125, minus 132, go over. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to like about Reggie Bullock. That could be a good one. Dorian Finney-Smith's another guy that I mentioned who just continues to rebound and rebound well. Let's look at Dorian Finney-Smith. Throughout the playoffs now, if we bump him down to 5, he's hit 5 or more in 6 out of 7 games. So same hit rates at 5 rebounds as Reggie Bullock. The issue with this is it could be a tie or a push for Dorian Finney-Smith. So if you don't want to tie, you don't want to push, then maybe you just go Reggie Bullock. You get the clean win, or if he goes under, the clean loss. But both of these guys should continue to be on your radar. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, their hit rates are just bonkers throughout the playoffs so far. I got Dorian Finney-Smith projected for 5.8, slightly more than Reggie Bullock. But at 5.5, the betting public, they are backing off this prop. They're taking it under minus 140 and minus 155. So could tie, could push, but I still think it should be in play tonight. Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock. Their rebounds just keep hitting. T-Bone 509 saying Deandre Ayton has been good to me this year, over on his rebounds. So I'm really liking his points because he shot the ball over 20 times in game 1. If he's going to keep doing that, I'm going to keep taking the points. But what about the rebounds for the big fella, Deandre Ayton? Do we want to go rebounds over points? I mean, I think for me, the better play is going to be points. We're getting him at 10 boards throughout his playoff run. He's just 1 for 7 now. So I don't know that I want to take the over on Deandre Ayton's rebounds. 1 for 7 in the playoffs. Now against Dallas, he's now faced Dallas a total of 3 times. In the past, he's rebounded well. 13 and 17 boards back in November, but that was a long time ago. Maybe things have changed a little bit. The dynamic, the rebounding dynamic on the team is different. Pulled in just 8 boards in game 1 versus Dallas. So these hit rates across the playoffs this year, not good. 1 for 7. I don't love that. So I feel a little bit more hesitant on taking the over on Deandre Ayton. His rebounds are projecting nice at 12. That's 2 more than his line at 10 on PrizePicks. And then he's at 11.5 on all the sports books, but they're betting the under at 11.5. Minus 145, minus 150. We're seeing him even at 10.5 where they're betting the under there. Charles says Deandre Ayton's rebounds is under for me. My guy doesn't like jumping. I hear you. If you're wanting to take the over, though, I would definitely say his points are the better look. So T-Bone, be careful with Ayton. I don't advise you taking him. Somebody's mentioning Dwight Powell. Let's see. CT Martin saying Dwight Powell at 3.5 rebounds going under. We've been getting him at 4 rebounds, but now he's down to 3.5 today. So let's take a quick look at Dwight Powell. He's definitely losing playing time to Maxi Kleber. Kleber had himself a fantastic game in game 1. Dwight Powell now is 4 for 7 in the playoffs, 57% hit rate. Versus Phoenix this season, 50%. But the last 2 games that he's played against Phoenix, he has went under. So 2 overs, 2 unders for Powell. He's projected for 4 rebounds. He is a betting favorite to go over at 3.5 boards. So I'm a little hesitant, man, with Dwight Powell. I'd rather just leave it alone, to be honest with you. I would rather not go there. Yago says Ayton under on rebounds. Yeah, I would lean under on Ayton's rebounds as well. I'm with you. Let's move ahead. Is there any PRA plays that you guys are really, really liking? Any PRA plays that really have your attention? I mean, looking at the Philadelphia-Miami game, Gabe Vincent's PRA against the Sixers, 100% hit rate. He's not up on the PrizePicks board. Danny Green at 12.5 PRA. He's not up on the board either, but 57% in his last 7. PJ Tucker at 15.5 PRA, 50% hit rate in his last 6 against Philly. You got Bam at 33.5, 32.5 on PrizePicks, just a 50% hit rate, 2 for 4. Anything from this Miami-Philly game, though, for PRA? You guys are talking Dinwiddie going under PRA, Ayton going over PRA. There you go. Ripo coming through with one. James Harden under PRA. We talked about this at the top of the show. This guy's just looking like a shell of his former self, right? Just not looking like James Harden of old. And due to that reason, I think you make a pretty good point. Maybe we should be going under on James Harden a little bit more. I think everybody's holding out for the old Houston Rockets James Harden to make an appearance. But I don't know if we should be holding our breath because I think that ship has sailed. I think that guy's done. I bump him all the way down to 37.5 PRA, and his hit rates throughout the playoffs do not change whatsoever. He is still 2 for 7, just a 29% hit rate. We look at his PRA ceiling, 41 and 43. That's the most he's had in any playoff game so far. We look at what he did against Miami in game 1, just 30 PRA in that one. And then in 2 previous games versus Miami, 28. This was back when he was with Brooklyn, 30. So he has not had very good PRA games in 2 games versus this Heat squad. So if you're asking me what I would do with James Harden, I'd probably take the under. Just banking on that the Houston Rockets Harden is long gone. That he is now just a shell of what that player was. Now, I will tell you this. There is tremendous value on this prop. 3 PRA difference. He's at 37.5 on PrizePicks, 40.5 on your sports books. It's a difference of 3 PRA. But even at 37.5, I don't know that I trust James Harden to go over 37.5. It's sad to say. If you're getting him at 40.5 on your favorite sports book, you guys should feel blessed. Take the under. If you're getting him at 37.5 like we have here on PrizePicks, I think the decision is a little bit more difficult. But as difficult as it might be, I'd still say I'd lean toward the under on James Harden at 37.5. Charles says, if James Harden gets over 37.5 PRA, I'll shave my beard. I'm not putting my beard on the line. There's just some things that I don't do, and that's risk my beard for the beard. But I would love to see James Harden go over 37.5 PRA because I'd like to see you with a little baby face, Charles. I'd like to see you have to shave that beard. And if you do, I want you to record it. I want you to tag me at Curry the Creator on Twitter. Tag me in that if that happens. Chris Smith saying that James Harden at 38.5 PRA. That was his line earlier today, this morning. So it has been bumped down to 37.5. Charles, you're also liking Max Strus under PRA. We talked about Strus under points. He has not hit the over on his points against Philly at all in 4 previous games. So under on Strus, PRA could be a move. He's very scoring dependent. If he's going to hit his PRA, it's probably because he's hit his points prop as well. So I like the under on Strus, PRA, or points. I think both could be a good look. CT Martin, you're mentioning Tyrese Maxiell at 28.5 PRA. You're wanting to go under on his PRA as well? So it's not just Harden getting the under treatment. You're thinking Tyrese Maxiell should also be an under. Let's look at Maxey. He's probably got higher hit rates than James Harden at 28.5 PRA. 3 for 7, 43%. Had just 21 PRA, though, against Miami in Game 1, so definitely struggled. Against Miami this season at 28.5 PRA, he is now 2 for 5, or 40% against the Heat. He's had some really strong games with 35, 37 PRA, but also some really bad games with 20 or 21 PRA. So Lack of consistency is the name of the game for Tyrese Maxiell. I got him projected for 29.5. That's just one PRA higher than the 28.5. And then he's also at 28.5 on all the sports books out there. At 28.5, he's a betting favorite to go over. SMCG says Harris will hit 30. Will hit 30 PRA. That wouldn't be enough if you plan on taking the over. He needs 31. Interesting. Any other PRA plays from the late game that you guys are liking? You got Luka sitting out there. You got Chris Paul sitting out there. Devin Booker, Deandre Ayton. I know CT was liking some Ayton over 30.5 PRA. I like Ayton for points. I think that's probably my favorite way to play Ayton right now, being that he, had 21 field goal attempts in game one. If he's going to keep getting that many shots, I feel fine taking the over on DeAndre Ayton's points. We've seen his rebounds a little down. Rebounds haven't looked great. But yeah, Ayton at 30.5 PRA could be a move, but I think I prefer just his points on their own. Let's look at Ayton real quick, though. Throughout the playoffs, DeAndre Ayton sitting at 30.5. He has now hit the over in 6 out of 7 playoff games, 86%. That's looking very, very good. He's also hit the over in 2 out of 3 games versus the Dallas Mavericks this year, 67%. So that's looking pretty good as well. Projected for 35.5 PRA. That's a whole 5 PRA difference. And we are getting value on this prop. He's at 30.5 on PrizePicks, 31.5 out on the sports book. So a whole PRA of value here. So that could be a good move. I don't mind that. I don't mind that, Mr. Martin. Mr. C3P likes Mr. CP3 to go over his PRA. That's confusing. Mr. C3P likes CP3 to go over his PRA. He's at 30.5. I like Chris Paul for points. Again, I think I'm going to just go pure points on Chris Paul versus the PRA. But if you want to go PRA, I'm not mad at it. But I think Chris Paul's points look like a sweet way to go. We got Chris Paul at 30.5 PRA throughout the playoffs so far. Talking about a 5 for 7 hit rate, 71%. Where his points, 5 for 7. But if we get him at 16.5, he's actually 6 for 7. So slightly higher hit rate on the points on PrizePicks than the PRA. But if you want to go PRA, you can. You definitely could. I don't think it's a bad option. Paul is projected for 34.4 PRA. We are getting 1 PRA value here at 31.5. They are betting it under, though. So Todd says, late but here. Let's do this, everyone. Todd, Live for Sunday, says, yes, I've already liked today's live stream. Thank you, Todd. You're the man. Appreciate you doing that. All right. Let's buzz through these last categories real quick. 3-point makes. What are we thinking about these 3-point makes today? Anything that's standing out on the 3-point make front? Looking at this first game, the hit rates against Philly or against Miami, respectively. Gabe Vincent, 67%. Jimmy Butler, 60%. Danny Green, 57%. PJ Tucker, 50%. 43 for Harris, 43 for Harrow. Maxey at 25%. Strus at 20%. James Harden, 0%. Now, you guys are just wanting to skip over this first game, Philadelphia and Miami. But what about the Philadelphia-Miami game? Anybody jumping out to you there? Is there any 3-point props that you really want to take from these guys? Harden? Ugh. He's very good at making 2. Not so good at making 3. Tyrese Maxiell, ugh, 1 for his last 5. Niang, 3 for 5. Okay, maybe. Harrow, drained 4 in his last game. I don't know if he does that again. But anybody from this murderer's row here of 3-point props from Philly, Miami? I don't know, man. I just don't think we go there. I just don't think that any of them look particularly sexy. If you think Harrow comes out and has a similar role and amount of minutes and gets the amount of shots, then maybe you go Tyler Harrow. But that's just a maybe for me. I mean, none of these look particularly great. So I'm with you. Let's just jump to the ones that have been popping off. Guys like Dorian Finney-Smith at 2. Reggie Bullock at 2. These dudes have definitely been hitting their 3-point props. I'm with you. We just keep riding these until the wheels fall off, right? Dorian Finney-Smith at 2 3-point makes. My man has hit 2 or more now in every playoff game. So 7 for 7 at 2 or better. Why deviate? Why change anything up? Whether Luke is in or Luke is out, Dorian Finney-Smith continues to hit 2 or more. Right? So yeah, we should probably go there. Against Phoenix now, 75% hit rate at 2 or more. 3 out of 4. So let's just keep going back to it. Why the heck not? Why the heck not? As far as a 3-point prop for Dorian Finney-Smith, I got him projected for 2.8. At 2.5, he's a betting favorite to go under. Betting favorite to go under, minus 160, minus 165, which is why PrizePicks has him at 2. But at 2, we take the over. We hope for at least 2, but we really, really hope for 3 or better, right? And then his teammate, Reggie Bullock, he is a 3-point shooter. He is a specialist, right? That's what he's out there doing. Every shot that he took last game was a 3-pointer. Every single one of them. So let's take a look at Bullock. You know he's going to get his 3-pointers up. You know he's going to take them. He's done so in every playoff game this year. 2 or more. Just like Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 or better in 7 straight. So just keep firing these guys up. Fire them up, right? Might as well. Against Phoenix this season, he hasn't had quite the success that Dorian Finney-Smith has had against the Suns. The most he's made against Phoenix is 2. So for that reason, I'd probably say I like Dorian Finney-Smith a little bit more because we've seen more upside out of him. But I don't mind either one of them. I think they're both fine. They're both going to be A-okay. Bullock's projected for 2.9. He's just like Dorian Finney-Smith at 2.5, a betting favorite to go under. So I like that. I like both of those. Any other threes? We saw Kleber have himself a fantastic night from beyond the arc. Maybe you go to Kleber like Ripo suggesting. He's going to continue to eat minutes from Dwight Powell. So as long as Kleber keeps doing that, then I think we keep taking his 3-point prop. Let's see what he's done here throughout the playoffs so far. Is it gonna let me refresh. Let's refresh. Let's sign in. See if we got a line for Kleber yet. Nothing for Kleber's threes? Come on. All right. Well, probably like him less than Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. I got Kleber projected for 1.6 though, and he is a betting favorite at 1.5 to go over it, minus 130. Yeah, I was liking Devin Booker for threes too. I think he ended up falling short though, didn't he? Let's double check. Yeah, Booker did not get the job done. Did not get the job done at 2 3-point makes, which I was a little bbit surprised by. He is now 50% throughout the playoffs. It's kind of got me wondering, is the hamstring in good shape? Against Dallas this season, he has hit 2 or more threes in 2 out of 4. So yeah, I'm a little concerned with Book. Little bit worried about him, but yeah, if you're asking me which ones I like the most, obviously Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock should be at the top of your list. You liking Crowder at 1.5? What do I got for Crowder? I got Booker projected for 3.1. At 2.5, he's a big betting favorite to go under. I got Crowder projected for exactly 2. Slight betting favorite to go under, 1.5. Yeah, Luka destroyed his PRA. Luka's nuts. He's bonkers. What about these free throw makes? Can't really trust this guy anymore to get to the free throw line. He's 1 for his last 5. Don't love that. Jimmy Butler, you could kind of see the inconsistencies there. He's hit or miss. Will we get aggressive Butler tonight? I mean, look at the pattern here. Maybe tonight he goes over. Who knows? If you believe in patterns. Tobias Harris did a good job making 4 free throws in game 1 against Miami. I don't know about him, man. I don't know about any of these, really. Look at Bam. Bam, last 2 games, 6 and 8 free throw makes. Maybe you go back to Bam. Maybe that could be a move. Luka. Let me show you something on Luka. We talked about this before, but I don't know if you guys caught this or not. Luka Doncic, FTM versus Suns logs include playoffs. All right. These are all the games that Luka Doncic has played against the Phoenix Suns. These are his free throw makes, right? So he's now recorded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games against Phoenix. 13 games against Phoenix. He needs 7 or more. He's hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of 13 at 7 or better. If you want to take off these last 2 games here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of 11. I think we keep firing Luka Doncic up at 7 free throw makes. 9 out of his last 11. I'll take that. I'll take a shot on Luka Doncic free throw makes at 7. I think that's a fine way to go. We're getting a little discount on Jalen Brunson because he had himself a bad game. Maybe we go back to that prop after a flop, right? Chris Paul, not getting to the free throw line a ton, but when he gets there, he does have a very nice free throw percentage. So if you think he gets to the free throw line twice tonight, I like his chances of hitting 75% or even 100%, going 3 for 4 or 4 for 4. So I don't mind Chris Paul if you think he gets to the line twice. Devin Booker did a good job of getting to the free throw line, had 8 makes in his last game. So is he going to keep being aggressive? That's the question. But I think for me, Luka's probably going to be my number 1 fave. I like the prospects of Chris Paul making 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4. I think that could be a good look. Bam should continue to have his way with this Philadelphia 76ers front court as long as Embiid's out. I don't mind you going there. Blocks and steals, I don't play a whole lot of these. We could just quickly look at them. I don't think of James Harden as a blocks and steals guy. He's probably just a fade or an under for me. Luka, 3 for his last 5, decent. Chris Paul, 3 for his last 5, that's decent. These are so unpredictable. That's why I don't take a lot of them. Now, Mikal Bridges, he has shown a pretty nice hit rate at 1.5 steals and blocks or stocks. So if you wanted to take Bridges, he might be the one that I like the most. But I wouldn't go crazy on these stocks, so to speak. But he's projected for 1.9. He's a betting favorite to go over at minus 140. So if you're going to take any of them, I like him. Crowder, it'd be Bridges for me. Bridges, and then I'd probably fade the rest of these. So anyway, gang, I'm going to wrap it up, man, because we're talking about 2 hours. 2 hours of player prop research. I didn't eat any breakfast. Your boy has worked up an appetite. I'm ready to go get some lunch. So that's what I'm going to go do. Watch some baseball. Look at some baseball props. Throw some stuff out there for the Patreon gang. And try to figure out what I'm going to do on this NBA slate. Appreciate everybody being here. Travis was liking the steals and blocks on Bridges. There you go. I'm liking it too, buddy. Good luck to everybody on your entries tonight. We will catch you in the next one. Peace.